Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we're continuing with our shirim of the Ramchal's Adir BaMaron on the Idra Rabbah, and we're in the second half of the weapons of the mind. Now, in the previous year, we explained how the weaponry of the mind, the technologies of thinking, have a way of breaking free from all of the concealment and answering all of the questions and breaking through all of the blockages in order to open the mind up to the ability to grasp a new influence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light in this world. And so we described the cherev as well as the remach. The spear is the standing of our ground and the assurance that we have in the positive elements of our storehouses and our spiritual recesses, where we can feel confident in the good things that we've done, uncovering Nekudos Tovos in the secret of the Ramach Evarim, which is the gematria of Avraham, which is the gematria of the osios of Kriyat Shema and the mitzvahs aseh that a person has. The secret of the Remach is the belief in the goodness, and that's how I'm going to stand firmly on my ground, and I'm going to ensure that my position in thinking and my grasp of this thought is going to be valuable. Then comes the side of the Cherev, and that's where I have to take the battle from Esav itself and develop the willingness to descend down into the breakdown of thinking, into the confrontation with the difficulty, where I'm extending myself beyond the borders of that self-confidence and I'm entering into newfound uncharted territory where I actually encounter the ability to lose. But it's specifically there that a person will be able to uncover more insight into what they previously know. As the Ramchal describes, the Cherev is the review over and over and over of that which is already known to the individual, and it's the re-education of oneself to the things that are abundantly known, as the Ramchal describes in the beginning of Mesil Shisharim. And that's the secret of the sword. The secret of the sword is the Vav with the two Yuds, which is the Aleph that creates the Adam. And that is the way that a person defends what I've already known in my thinking by way of deepening my encounter with it. And so we had the sword and we had the spear. The sword is going to be something that's used in battle from a point of proximity. The sword cannot fight the long distance battle. It cannot go to other areas of knowledge that are not yet uncovered in order to answer up the question being asked on the piece of knowledge that I already know. The Cherev can only answer up a question on the content from within the content itself, reviewing what I already know, not going down and not trying to understand things that I don't understand, but trying to re-understand that which I already understand. The Keshet, as we're going to see, is how we do battle by way of a distance, because the Keshet, the bow and arrow, as opposed to the sword, has the ability of fighting its battle far greater distances than the sword has the ability to do. The sword is a battle by way of proximity, utilizing what I already have in hand. The keshet, the secret of the bow and arrow, is my willingness to extend myself into territories that I don't yet have, but nevertheless, based on the confidence that I have as the result of my remach and my spear, which is the radical affirmation of my value, then I have the ability to enter into the avodah of the keshet. So the Ramchal says as follows: Acha keshet hu me'or hanukva. So we said that these weapons are going to be Chesed, Gvura, and Teferes, and Malchus, the four elements of the Merkava. Chesed, Gvura, and Teferes, the Roimech of Avram, and the Cherev of Yitzchak, and the Keshet is going to be of Yaakov's. And then we're going to see the secret of the Slingshot, which is going to be David's. And that's the secret of Chesed, Gvura, and Teferes unifying with Malchus. And that's the framework of how a person encounters with their battle of thinking. Am I going to encounter it with my Roimach? Am I going to encounter it with my cherev, or am I going to encounter it with my keshet? Now, the keshet, this ability to battle from afar, the Ramchal is going to imply that it's rooted in Malchus, but we know that the Kitra, the slingshot, as we're going to see, is really talking about Malchus. So then why is the Keshet associated with Malchus? Because when it comes to Teferes, which is primarily marked by the light of Yesod, and we know that Yesod has its own expression of Malchus within it, which is the secret of Ateres Yesod, which is the secret of Mashiach ben Yosef, which is the secret of the Hamshacha of Yaakov and Yosef together, and the Chibur of Teferes within Yesod. And therefore, anytime we're talking about Yesod, we're always already talking about the preparation for Malchus. And because Yesod's job is to connect to Malchus, it also has to have an element of a private Malchus within itself, so that the Malchus of Yesod can attach to the Malchus of Malchus. And that's going to be the Sod of the Keshet. The Keshet is the bow and arrow that's representative of the unification and the preparation of the unity, where the light of Chesed and Gevura, of the Roimech and the Cherev, of Avram and Yitzchak, are being drawn down through Yaakov. And then Yaakov expresses that koyach to Yosef until that light comes to the full culmination of the Or Zaru L'Tzadik L'Ishrei Lev Simcha in the secret secret of going from the Roimech of Avram to the Cherev of Yitzchak to the Keshet of Yaakov and Yosef, and then that's going to prepare us for the actual Malchus, which is the slingshot, as we're going to see. Acha Keshet hu me'or hanukva. The Keshet, the bow and arrow, comes from the light of femininity, but it's the feminine principle, the Malchus, mitzad hayesod, meaning to say it's the malchus of Yesod. So it's still a masculine impulse, but it's the masculine tendency to contain within itself that feminine principle of reservation and privation and concealment and a hiddenness and an engagement by way of a distance rather than by way of closeness, like the cherev that exists within the Yesod itself. When a person is utilizing the bow and arrow of the mind, what they need to ensure is that they are firing off 3 arrows. In the secret of the unification between David HaMelech and Yehonasan ben Shaul, the secret of the unity between Yesod and Malchus, even though we're not yet at the place of Malchus yet, because David HaMelech was not the full culmination of Malchus, but rather it was Shlomo, who was the bar of David, who was the son of David. The Ben David is going to be the secret of the culmination of Malchus itself. The secret of David and Yehonasan is the Yichud of Yesod and the Malchus of Yesod together, which is the secret of the Yichud Kutchabrichu V'Shchinte, still in the prior to the full culmination of Geula. And the way that that was revealed was by Yehonasan sending signs to David HaMelech to ensure his safety from his father Shaul by firing off 3 arrows, and that David HaMelech was going to see those 3 chitzin, and he was going to understand what he needed to do. And the tzaddikim, Ramdu Vali, the Talmud Mufak of the Ramchal, and the Ramchal himself points out that those 3 chitzin represent the shlosha elements that come through the Yesod, which is nothing other than the 3 lanes and the 3 lines combining together. The Chesed, the Gevura, and the Tiferes. Avram and Yitzchak are unified within Yaakov. The spear and the sword are unified within the bow and arrow. And therefore, it was the 3 arrows that were used to represent that unification. Ki ha-keshet, sod ha-yesod. Because in truth, the keshet, the bow and arrow, is the secret of Yesod. It's the culmination of Tiferes as it prepares to unify with Malchus. V'nizrakim boi v'yoitzim imenu gimel tipim moichin yordan mechabad. And what's expressed fundamentally in the Yesod is the secret of the moichin of Chachma, Bina, and Das that are misgale within the Yesod itself. Meaning to say, we're talking now about the ability to be mamshich or ein sof lamata through the kalim of our minds, through the utilization of our thinking processes to remove all of the concealment of postulates of thinking, which give us more insight to HaKadosh Baruch Hu or halacha or whatever it is, more decision-making capacity of how to be a good Jew in this moment and to be Megala Kvod Shemayim. All of that is dependent upon drawing down the highest lights of Chachma, Bina, and Das, then to Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferes, then to Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. So, what we have here in the Keshet is the Keshet represents Yesod. It represents the ability to truly engage with this thought principle properly. Once I've gone through the Roimech and once I've gone through the Cherev of it, once I've utilized the spear and the sword, now it's time to fully allow this idea to culminate in a seminal idea that can allow me to stand sturdy in my ground of knowing and grasping and feeling that this is the point of truth, which is the uncovering the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the 3 arrows that are coming down through the Keshet, which the Yesod, it can look like, if I look at where the Oros are from the Yesod right above it, I would look at Chachma, Gevura, and Tiferes, because there's 3 shlishim, there's 3 gradations in every parts. There's the upper third, which is Chachma, Bina, and Das, Chachma being on the right side, Bina being on the left side, and Das being in the middle. Then there's Chagas, Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferes, reflecting the same origination of the upper triad. So Chachma gives birth to Chesed, and then Bina gives birth to Gevura, and Das is Tiferes. So you have the upper 3 and the middle 3, and then the lower 3 are Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. Netzach on the right, Hod on the left, and Yesod in the middle. So that's going to be Chachan, Bagad, Dati, the Kav Yamin, the Kav Small, and the Kav Ha'emsai. So theoretically, if we're talking about the Yesod, which is the middle line of the lowest third, which is Netzach, Hod, and Yesod, so theoretically, the Shlosha Kitzim that have to come down should come from Chagas, which would be Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and that would make sense if it was drawing that light down into Yosef. But what the Ramchal is pointing out here is the deep secret that in truth, the Gimel Tipei HaMoichin are coming down from Chabad itself, that the Moichin that are being drawn down to the Yesod, which are really the Habasha of the Nahi of Bina HaElyon, so it's coming all the way down, not just from Chesed, Gevura, and Tiferes, but really from Chachma, Bina, and Das. When a person is in the process of decision making and it feels like it is devoid of the illumination of the spiritual realms, and that it's just synonymous with kind of that emotional expression. What the Ramchal is hinting to us here is that anytime a person is actually allowing there to be a culmination of something, in truth, it is rooted in the highest recesses possible, and that's where we're drawing down from. V'tzarich l'chazek hakeshet v'hametar shehim shnei vavim. And just as the Ramchal described the shape of the cherev, which was the elongated vav with the two yudin on the sides, which was the handle of the sword, and that represents the vav and the yud that make up the os aleph, which is what goes to the dam, ki adam hu nefesh, and when you put the aleph to the dam, it becomes shem ma, like we said. Over here, the shape of the bow and arrow is going to be different. The shape of the sword is a vav and two yuds. The shape of the bow and arrow is you have the bow and you have the meter, you have the string that you have to pull back further and further, and those represent two vavin. So we have two vavin, v'soidem yesoid v'teferes. What are the two vavim there? Like we said, it's yesoid and teferes, because the culmination of teferes, which is Yaakov Avinu, is yesoid, and it's really the malchus of yesod. And the gimel tipin, what are the gimel tikin? They are heim yud achas betlas kutzin. So you have a vav, a yud, and a vav, the two elements of the bow and arrow. The string of the bow and arrow and the arch of the bow and arrow are the two vavin. And the yud breaks up into three arrows, because every yud, as we know from the halachos of writing a yud, has a beginning, a middle, and an end, which are the three interconnected dots. And those three dots inherent within the yud, even though it's indivisible, and even though from an externalized perspective it's completely unified, nevertheless, when you go down into the fractalized nature of the yud, you come to find that there's three yudin that make up the yud, and there's three yudin which make up each yud, just like there's 333 that creates the system of the spheros, and then malchus, which gives us a whole unit. So a yud is always 333, and then the sum total of that 333, which is the 9, and the additional lip around it, which gives us 10, which is 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11. So the yud, which represents fullness in its point, when you descend down into the depths of it, you come to realize that there is an irreducible remainder of a split up of 3, because the system is always top, middle, and bottom, or inner, outer, and center. Ultimately, those three parts are unifying together to reveal a unity. But the yud is composed of 9 spheros ultimately, and the extra, which is malchus, that comes about at the conclusion of it. And the yud, which is going to be split into the top, middle, and bottom, are those three arrows that come from the two vavs. So you have vav, vav, and a yud, which is the gematria of chaf beis, which are the chaf beis osios satorah, in the secret of bach yevarich Yisrael, bacha yevarich Yisrael, that with you, with the 22 letters of the osios, the blessing is going to come to Klal Yisrael. The shemam sham chaf beis osios, and what they represent is the shem chaf beis, which is aleph nun kaf taf mem, and pei samech taf mem, pei samech and yud and mem, and dalid and yud and vav and nun and samech and yud and mem, which is the shem of 22 that comes out from birchas kohanim hayotzim mipasad yivarecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. And so what the Ramchal, the Heilige Ramchal, is giving to us here is the secret of the keshet. The secret of the keshet, unlike the sword, is two vavs and one yud, as opposed to the sword, which is two yuds and one vav, because it's not the secret of the Shem Hamaya Miloi Alfin, like the Cherev, which gives us Aleph and Dam, which is Ma and Adam. But over here, we come to the secret of Vav, Vav, and Yud, which is the Chaf Beis Osios HaTorah. Here, in thinking, we're going to have to develop the underlying principle that there's new ideas to be uncovered. When I'm battling with my Cherev, when I'm battling with my Remach, I'm standing ground on that which is worthy in me, and I'm standing ground about that which is right in me, and all of the knowledge that I have, etc., etc. That's the positive reaffirmation of self. Then, from that place, I'm willing to go in and identify what the problem is and fight from a close proximity to uncover more and more depth that I have. That's the secret of the Cherev. Then, when I overcome that difficulty and I come to terms with the things that I know already, which is the secret of the Cherev, then I develop the capacity to go out and discover more, because I come to the depth of the idea that with this Chaf Beis Osios, which the Roimach has always already affirmed for me, and my capacity to understand the Aleph Beis, at least, like the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh teaches us, and like the Gra teaches us, that ultimately all we have is the Aleph Beis and the Aleph Beis and the Aleph Beis that we learned when we were the youngest point of the possibility of learning. That Aleph Beis that a person learned is the reducible core of any other Chiddush Torah that's going to come out afterwards. And so we come to a place after the Roimach of the radical affirmation of self, and the Cherev, which is the willingness to uncover the latent confidence that I can have in ideas that I've already forgotten because I know them so deeply. So I come to remember what I've already known. Then I enter into the place of the Keshet, which is the ability to reorient the letters and to develop new ideas in order to answer the question from that place. V'tzarech But a person has to prepare this arrow, which splinters into three arrows, properly. Zois hayud, this yud that we are firing in order to uncover more ground. Hinehi klula migimel yud, and we said in truth it has a top, a middle, and a bottom. And therefore, this yud is really three yuds, which is the gematria of lamed, which means li, which means going somewhere. And therefore, this yud has the three yudin, which equals lamed, v'hagimel yudin, and these three yuds is the secret of the gimel havayos, shehem ayin ches, and each yud we understand is the representation of a Kadosh Baruch Hu's name, because it's the Peseach es yudcha. When you open up the yudim, you come to find the irreducible point in which Kadosh Baruch Hu reveals himself, and everything is totally in the beginning, and the kutza shel yud and the yud represent the entirety of the name of Shem Havaya, and therefore if the yud can be broken up into three yudin, which is the gematria of lamed, because it's 10 plus 10 plus 10, and all of those yudin represent the Shem Havaya, so you have three Shem Havayos, which is Havaya on the right, Havaya in the middle, Havaya on the left, which is the gematria of 78. Hare Kufches, so you have 78 plus 30, so you have 108, and that's going to be the gematria of Chatzi, of the Chetz. And so what I'm firing off, what I'm developing is the confidence that I know an idea, I have a Yud, but when I have the confidence in that Yud, I allow it to express itself and splinter itself up into various parts, and it can express itself in each direction, and that becomes my Chetz, because I have the confidence that by working with the idea that I've already come to know that I know, I can extend myself further into further territories to know more and more. Audio tertov. This is the secret of the bow and arrow. Brachos the rosh tzaddik. It's the blessings that rest upon the tzaddik's head. Shetachtam tichna hasitra achra v'ha'oiris yisrabu v'ya'iru. The goal of the keshet is to allow the lights not to simply believe in themselves like the Cherev does, or to radically affirm our willingness to uncover lights like the Roimach does, but it's for the purpose of destroying all of the Sitra Achra that rests in the distance by way of illuminating and increasing the light so that they can be revealed more. It's taking the Aleph Beis that I already know and it's extending it and figuring out new ways to answer up questions. The Tishtamish Mizeh Bevo Lecha Kushios V'Steikos Mimakom Acher Mechutz L'Inyanecha. And the Keshet needs to be utilized when there are questions and doubts that are coming about with my preconceived notion of godliness from outside of itself. Now I have to utilize a battle tool that allows itself to go outside of itself, unlike the Cherev, which is there to re-answer questions that are emergent not from outside but from within itself. The Hainu stiros v'romayos, a stira that's applied to something that I'm trying to say from elsewhere, or romayos, or a question asked from elsewhere. The weapon that I have to use to battle those battles by way of a distance is the Zayin Hamagia Mirachok. This is the weapon that goes from afar. So we have three weapons now. We have the weapon of Chesed, which is the Roimach, which is when I encounter an issue, I have a feeling of emunah. That is my muskal, that I believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is here right now. And then there's a kasha that comes about. And the kasha is that I don't believe in myself enough to believe in what I feel. And therefore, I doubt my own emunah. The roimach is the first radical reaffirmation of self and the willingness to affirm my ability to have true faith and my ability to understand something about this moment. That's what happens when I place the roimach, the spear, firmly in the ground, so it marks my territory and it gathers together all of the information that I already know. And ultimately for a Yid, we're blessed because we know everything, because latently we know the entirety of the Torah. It's just that we've forgotten it. So when I go down to the very core of the irreducible strength of self, which is the hiskabris ha'atzmius that takes place when a person is ezu gibor hakoivesh es yitzro, which tells a person over and over not to believe in themselves, that's the avodah of the Rameach. And that comes about by way of love, the radical affirmation of goodness. Then once I've radically affirmed goodness, those things that I've come to affirm, I begin to realize that I've forgotten something about them, or that there's certain issues, or there's certain stiros or paradoxes at the heart of how I think about these things, and that's where I have to use the cherev. And the cherev is the cutting through with the koyach of Yitzchak Avinu to answer up questions, by to break down the issue into small, bite-sized, manageable pieces and answer one question after another, but from within what I already know. I'm not descending out of myself. I'm developing more confidence in the ideas that I already know. Then the keshet is about how I learn to battle an issue that comes from outside of me. Someone brings an idea, not an idea internal to me that causes me to question the validity of my ideas, but it's an idea that comes from outside of myself, and it causes me to rethink the idea, because that's a reasonable thing to say, and I have to try and figure out how to make room for the paradox of that new piece of information that has come to light and the previously held belief that I want to hold on to. And in that place, the battleground is going to be through the keshet itself. The keshet is the unity of the roimach and the cherev. It's the belief in self and the willingness to do battle, in the sense that it can go farther. It can now utilize further ideas or newly found ideas. And that's going to be the keshet. And now we come to the kitra. Now we come to the kirta, the secret of the slingshot. Now, for me, this Torah of the slingshot in Rabbeinu Haramchal is some of the most fundamental and significant places that we've come to so far, because it's where the Ramchal, I can't say that because every stage is fundamentally necessary. Every word in this book is written B'Ruach HaKodesh, and the words in this book should be Ma'ir Schus upon the tzaddikim, and that it should be a Hisayrus for the entire world to have a Refuah and Yeshua, and there should be Nechama, and there should be a Hisayrus and a Chizuk that's given to those who need Chizuk, and each and every tzaddik who believes in Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Moshe Rabbeinu and the Arizal and the Baal Shem Tov and all of the Yechidei Hadoros and Rabbeinu Nachman Ben Fega, that the tzaddikim in our generation should have a chizuk, and that they should be able to have the chizuk, and Malchus should be able to have tekuma, and that it shouldn't fall down, and the shrinta begalusa should be maskala. That's what the kirta is being megala. The kirta is being megala the inyanim that are taking place in our days as well. The kirta is being megala something that takes place at every moment in a person's life, in the secret of Malchus. This is the lowest place, but as the Ramchal is going to explain, as it would seem that we're reading from Kamarna, or it would seem that we're reading from the Leshem, or it would seem from we're reading from the Rebbe Rashab and the Rashash, and all of the Torah of the Yama Chachma comes down to this Nakuda, at least as I humbly understand it. And so, Zak the Heilige Ramchal. The weapon that is most fundamental and the strongest weapon is the slingshot. Ki even boichin gibore hachayo, and it's the stone that tests the strength of the soldier. L'das ish gvuraso. Each and every person comes to understand their strength from within their relationship with the slingshot. Uban is chazek David ala plishti ve'yamitehu, and it's with this weapon that David Melech Mashiach was able to overcome the Plishti and Machshamo and kill him. And in the Tikkunim and in Raya Mehemna, there's a speech of Moshe Rabbeinu Raya Mehemna slingshot with which he's going to destroy the Nachash itself. So we see that this slingshot belongs not only to David HaMelech, but to Moshe Rabbeinu as well. The Tira Shebesefer Devarim, and when you look in the Zohar HaKadosh Chelik Gimel Daf Reish Ayin Beis Amud Aleph, Maybe Divrei Yenuka. It brings this Yenuka, this young child, the story of the Yenuka in the Zohar Kadosh, where the Tanaim come in from the road, and this Yenuka begins to smell upon them secrets. He knows what they did do, he knows what they didn't do, and he's continuously revealing secret after secret. And the Bnei Masifta, the Rakia, are there, and the Masifta of Rashbi are Nispala from the Yenuka. Sha'amar Sham Masha Asa Kvar Bekirta Shalei Neged Asamach Mem. And the Yenuka himself described over there the action that he's used with this slingshot. Va'amar, and the lashon of the Zohar Kadosh is as follows: V'harsana binyana dilei v'ishpalna leiletata. And we destroyed his binyan and we sent him down to the bottom. V'farish l'cha ata inyana. And when the Yenuka says we destroyed the binyan of the Sitra Achra, the explanation of the matter is as follows: as well as the ways and the mechanisms in which we can engage with the kirta itself, with the slingshot. The secret of the slingshot is what's said by Daniel about the stone that's going to hit the other side in its head with the hands, and it's going to break the tzelem, it's going to break it. It goes, this stone goes down and it shatters the tzalma of negativity. It breaks the entire body of concealment. And therefore, somebody who has the ability to draw this stone from that place, have the ability to send it so far that it can go to the tzelem, to the rosh of the klipa, and it can shatter it. Vada Yeshabranu, someone who knows the ability of pulling that stone from the deepest place possible, where to take the stone from. A Vada person like that is the ability to break on through to the other side and break through the concealment of the mind and find more Emunah. V'soid and the secret is Ki hanukva hihu chana lihi aved l'tzorech hamelech baruchu. The nukva, the malchus, the shchina, that which appears to have nothing of its own, the kli itself, the thing that is mashlim, the whole thing, but doesn't add anything individually. the Bittel, the Levana, the Malchus itself, David Malka Mashiach, the goal is there for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be mishtamish with it, for Teferes and Yesod, for Kodesh Baruch Hu to be miskala through the Malchus, and the Malchus appears to be the lowest thing imaginable. But without Malchus, nevertheless, even though Malchus is nothing of her own, nevertheless, without Malchus, there's absolutely no connectivity, because you could have from Keser all the way to Yesod. All of that is simply preparation. Misha Tarach b'Shabbos, yes, they'll be Yoichel b'Shabbos, but it's only if they enter into Shabbos, which is the secret of Malchus. But Misha Tarach Erev Shabbos and spends their entire life in Erev Shabbos without entering into Malchus, so then there's not going to be any hiskashrus. The secret of Malchus is the secret that is Huchan le'aved l'tzorech hamelech, the kli that's machzik bracha, the tzimtzum itself. And it's needed in order to draw out the connectivity of all of the Ma'ires, of the Chachma being Maskal and the Bina being revealed in the Das, and then from there the transition to the same relationship of Chesed, Bina, and Teferes, and from there to Netzachod and Yisod. All of that is the Hachana for Malchus itself. Kihi be'emes mana dekula uba niksharim kulam. Because in truth, Malchus is referred to as mana dekula, and it's specifically there that everything is going to be unified. Afar is the Malchus, Shakala Afar Nafshenu, but nevertheless, the Afar, which is the lowest, is also referred to as Afar Damanakula. It's the root source of all things, and it's that Afar that's going to become the stones of the Kitra that Avram Avinu was able to use to destroy his enemies. The secret of taking the lowest imaginable place of concealment and revealing that it's there, that's really the full revelation of a Kadosh Baruch Hu's light. Ubanik Sharam Kulam, that's where everything is going to be unified. V'zehu ikar ha'avoida v'soif hashlemus asher yihiyeh la'olamus kulam. And this is the fundamental and essential completion and whole completion that will take place with all of the worlds when they ascend back into Malchus. Because when things are revealed in Malchus themselves, it's no longer going to be a temporary revelation that's associated with the Malchus of Yesod, which is just Mashiach ben Yosef, but it's going to be a perpetual revelation of a Tainug Tamidi with a Hishtanus, with a perpetual changing that allows me to feel that pleasure, but nevertheless, it's going to be in a state of permanence and permanency, where it's no longer yes and no. It's going to be a yes, that yes, it contains within itself the vestige of a previous no, so that the yes can continuously reaffirm itself and reaffirm its strength, but it's not going to contain within itself a no that takes me away from the yes, chas v'shalom, but it's going to be a no that's nichlal b'derech habittel, in the yes itself, which allows me to have that Tosefes Kishut and that Tenuas has chadshus, that movement of change. It's going to be nikve bekvias benitzchias misham lahala zman kabbalas aschar hanitzchi, and everything afterwards is going to be the process of receiving the reward that was prepared for in the time of time. Once everything is completed, once everything finds expression in Malchus, everything afterwards is just ascensions within Malchus. The Aliyah from Elefash Shvi'i to Shmini to Chi to Asiri, they're all gradations in which Malchus ascends back to places that the mind can no longer grasp, and speech can no longer say, and words can no longer be expressed to describe what they are. They enter into the absolutely unknown and the territories of what can't be grasped. It doesn't mean there's a fundamental unity between Malchus and everything that comes higher, because there never is, because ultimately and the deepest secret of Malchus is that it's perpetually deficient in its connectivity to the essential source, because that's the decision of Malchus. It goes down deliberately because it knows there has to be that makom of tzimtzum in order to reveal the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But when things are fully revealed in Malchus, all of that tzimtzum goes up to the degree that we can't even understand how or why. There will still be the notion of an element or a residual light of tzimtzum, but there will always be a residual light of tzimtzum, because there's always a perpetually new level to be revealed. We're never grasping the etzem itself. We're always perpetually revealing more and more of the shem ha'atzmi, of the essential name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because the name represents that it's still not the Baal Hashem. The name is not the person being named, Kav Yachol. The name is still not identifiable with the thing being named, no matter how connected it is. And that's ultimately the secret of Kedushasi L'malim Kedushasechem, that Malchus is always going to be perpetually rising upwards in its inability to reach and unify fully with its source. But nevertheless, once things are revealed in Malchus, all of the ascensions are now going to be nimtak, and it's not going to be with tsar, and it's not going to be with pain, and there's not going to be shivud malchios, and there's not going to be any difficulty, and it's all going to be revealed in the secret of ahava b'ta'anugim. Ahava b'ta'anugim. Ki kasher tikun kesher zeh yiye netakin b'kvias, because it's malchus where permanence is. Umisham ulahala zman kabbalas aschar hanitzchi yiyeh. Ve'oid tishma pirish kol hadavar me'ila l'kamen b'siyata d'shmaya b'perish orcha d'plukse d'shari kisham makoim pirish kol ela hanyanim shel aschar hanitzchi. And Ramchal has hinted to us again that wait until we get to the BaMaron orcha d'plukse d'shari, where he's going to reveal the deep secrets of what it means to have schar nitzchi. And nitzchi is not in opposition to the temporality of this worldliness, but rather, as the Ramchal is giving us access to in this book, by Safri Yafkin Megalusa Berachamim, that we can draw the Nitzchi into the Zmani, we can draw Chaye Oilam into Chaye Shah, we can draw the Torah into the Tefillah, and we could be Megala Zayin on the Torah Chadashim Ita Titze, which is the Torah of Mashiach. Zok the Heilig Ramchal. V'teda, and a person has to know, Ki hine ksiv, Pasuk says, hine kosav, the Pasuk says, Heima yavnu va'ani aros, they will build and I will destroy. They will build and I will destroy. Concealment will build and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will destroy. The Sod HaInyan, and the secret of the matter is as follows. Because when it comes to the concealment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has allowed to function within the world so as to effectuate the plane of Bechira, wherein it means something for us individually to reveal the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu by way of Bechira. So the Sitra Achra gathers itself together, like we saw by the Cherev, that problems very often appear to be far bigger than they are because they've just gathered and they've coalesced around each other. And what was once an individualized symptom has now joined together in this monstrosity of a cluster of symptoms. And the job before fixing that massive symptom, which seems overwhelming, is actually separating them and compartmentalizing them and understanding the place of each one of them. Kol echad b'makomam, kol echad l'shemos yikra. When you give it a name, then you can manage the bite-sized manageable piece. That's what the avoid of the cherev was, like we said, by chewing maror, of crushing it up, of crushing the clitoris up, dak min hadak, of throwing the stone that is meant to destroy, but throwing it as microscopic pebbles so that the stone is thrown, but it's not thrown in a damaging or destructive way. That's the secret. So the Sitra Achra builds itself up, and our job is to break it down into bite-sized manageable pieces. But when the Sitra Achra is unleashed, Rahman al-Islan, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving space to the Sitra Achra, they gather together and they create these binyanim. There are palaces, there are buildings of concealment, until all of those various buildings, right, they want this singular unity, and they build a singular tower. That's the Migdal Bavel, the site of Magdiel that the Zohar HaKadosh talks about, this pillar of negativity, this pillar of concealment that is a composite of all of the various fractions of concealment that gather together, coalesce together to create this Magdiel. And this is what the Dor HaFlaga wanted to do. They wanted to become the receiving site for all of the negativity and all of the concealment and all of the Hester, to reduce it into one intensified, potent form of concealment. That was what Dor HaFlaga was. And where did they get this from? They get this from Shviras HaKelim, which is the secret of the Shem Ben. The Shem Ben, the Shem Havai of Yud, Vav, Dalid, Hey, Hey, Vav, Vav, and then Hey, Hey, which is the secret of Malchus. That's what broke. And that Shem Ben looks like Evan. They took the broken stones. They took Shvira. They saw the dross of negativity that is emergent from the secret of Tzimtzum and the unknowable secret of Tzimtzum, which is both Shaloi Kipshuto, and then within the Loi Kipshuto, there exists the possibility of seeing it as Kipshuto, so that we can come to nullify that notion of Kipshuto from within the notion of Kipshuto itself, to be mamtik the Tzimtzum with the Tzimtzum itself. So they grabbed hold of these pieces and they built the Dor HaFlaga for themselves. And what they did was they really just basically built and they reoriented the entire secret of the Malchim Kadmin of Edom, which were all the element of Ana Emloch, that each and every Ana, each and every individualized point of separation joined together to create one palace of artificial unity. Bezehu Hema Yibanu. And this is the secret of they will build it. How are they going to build it? It comes from the Ben, the Shem Ben. And if this is what's taking place in concealment, and this is taking place by the Sitra Achra, then the only thing the Sitra Achra is there ultimately to teach us is how we can learn Zel Umat Zeh and apply the same reasonings and principles, B'Yeser Se'esu, B'Yeser Oz, to the Tzad of Kedusha. And that's going to be the secret of Malchus. The secret of Malchus is the Shem Ben that actually reveals itself to be the Migdal, the Kedusha, the Migdal HaPareach Ba'avir, that goes all the way up to the highest recesses imaginable. How can we destroy the Migdal? How do we destroy the Malchus, the Sitra Achra, the thickening layers of concealment that seem to block a person's mind from affirming faith, from connecting to that which is most significant by living with joy and confidence and bitachon and the possibility of persevering in the face of all differences and the ability to uncover the healing waters of the Torah that rests within the very recesses of the self and to draw healing and to draw down binyan Beis Hamikdash. What's lacking? What do we need to do in order to awaken this battle, to break the other side down? So Zak the Heilige Ramchal. Kihine Kosev. Pasuk says, Ani Rishon va'ani Achron. The Koich of Malchus is what stands against all of this. Because Malchus is when we take all of the concealment and we bring it back up to its source. That's the Shechina. This Olam Hazeh, the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, is Olam Hazeh Melashon He'elem. And so by definition, Achin Ata Kel Mistater. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a concealed God, is a God that conceals himself. And our job is to break through that concealment and open up those moments of awareness to reveal HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light in this world. And that's Malchus. And Malchus is the secret of how we're matakein the Even that broke and allowed the Sitra Achra to build itself. Pasuk says, Ani Rishon va'ani Achron. I am the first and I am the last. When the pasuk says Ani Rishon v'Ani Achron, it's talking about the fact that ultimately, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, all HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed Kaviyachol was Malchus. The highest level is Malchus. If we're talking about it, it's Malchus. Malchus is revelation. The entirety of the creation of the worlds is the emergence, so to speak, of the Malchus to Ein Sof, the very edge of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu's absolute infinite revelations are, so that we can come to understand through the radical secrets of the Tzimtzumim, Achar Tzimtzumim, Achar Tzimtzumim, to give us the ability to be thinking creatures who have the ability to choose connectivity to God, and also Rahman al-Islam to choose the opposite of the ability to be connected to God. So all of that is just the expression of Malchus. Malchuscha, Malchus, Kol Omim, Umemshaltecha B'chol Dor Vador. Melech Malchei Hamlachim. Malchus, in its root, is that highest form of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's desire, so to speak, the unfathomable desire of Anna Emloch. I would like to be king. The Ein Melech Below An. That Malchus is the loftiest place imaginable. It's hidden in the point of initiation where nothing merges into something in the secret of Reishad Loas Yada, the Malchus Haganuza Bereishad Loas Yada, that innermost point of concealment that is hidden and emergent from within and representative of the essential point of Reishad Loas Yada, Malchus Haganuza Beradla. That's Ani Rishon. That's Malchus de Ein Sof Kavyachol. That's Malchus Malchus Kalamim. That's that I'm unchanging. That's the Malchus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to reveal. Ani Rishon v'Ani Achron. But that Malchus goes down, down, down. That Malchus is representative of the Seder HaShtalshelus Kavyachol, and therefore Malchus Dein Sof Kavyachol, as the Arizal describes in Sham Mem Beis, begins to emerge and it expresses itself as the Chalal HaPanui, and then the Chalal HaPanui has Igulim within it, which is Malchus, and then there's Adam Kadmon, which is Malchus, and then there's the mouth of Adam Kadmon, which is Malchus, and then there's the secret of the Shlira, which is Malchus, and then there's the secret of the binyan of Olam Hatikun, which is Malchus, and then there's going to be the Malchus da Atzilus, which is going to represent the point of interaction between the realms of infinitude and the realms of finite reality, and then the Malchus da Atzilus breaks through the barrier of separation and it becomes the Keser of Bria, and then that becomes the Keser of Bria, and the Malchus of Bria, and the Malchus of Bria becomes the Keser of Yetzira, and the Keser of Yetzira becomes the Malchus of Yetzira, and the Malchus of Yetzira becomes the Keser of Asiya, and the Keser of Asiya becomes the Malchus of Asiya, and the Malchus of Asiya becomes the Malchus to Asiya, that's Yored down into the Klipas Noga, and that's the Shchinta Begalusa, and that's Raglea Yardimavas. But ultimately, it's the same Malchus all the way up. So when I find my Malchus at the very bottom in the Asiya da Asiya and the Klipa Noga, I can ascend back up, and the Malchus da Asiya goes back up to the Malchus of Asiya, and through Mesiras Nefesh, it goes up to Asani Kirtzono, which is the Keser of Asiya, which is the Malchus of Yitzira, and then the Malchus of Yitzira goes up through the process to the Keser of Yitzira, which is the Malchus of Bria, and then I go back into the world of Bria, and from the Malchus of Bria come to the Keser of Bria, which is ultimately the Malchus, the Atzilus Kavyachol, which is the point of connectivity, and then all the way back up and beyond, back to the recesses beyond Malchus the Ein Sof, which is the Tesefes Kishut. So Malchus is everything from the top to the bottom. When it goes down and is miskasher in malchus, because when the tikkun of malchus is rectified in a permanent form of way, then it's going to be. I'm sorry, I just went back like 10 lines to be reading, but it made sense. Back to where we were. And this is the secret of the ascension of Malchus, from the lowest place imaginable, of the Malchus to Asiya, that's your way down into the territory of Klipas Noiga, and the secret of Ragleha Yardumaves. The Aliyah Sanukva is going all the way up from the Ani Achron all the way back up to the Ani Rishon, so that all of the stopping points along the way from the progression of the descent down from above to below is now all ascending upwards through the vehicle of Malchus from below to above, which is going to create the Chiddush, the radical Chiddush of more infinite light. And this is what the Zohar HaKadosh describes, and the Tikkun Zohar describe in numerous places. The Salkat ad ein soif v'nachat ad ein tachlis. That Malchus itself ascends up to the infinite territories of ein sof and infinitude, v'nachtat ad ein tachlis, and it descends down to the unfathomable and untraceable depths. Because it goes up and above itself, and it connects everything to itself, and then it goes down and it collects everything, and it connects all levels of existence together, meaning to say, Hainu Bia v'chol hanivroim. The Malchus to Ein Sof is Miskala in the Malchus to Atzilus, which is the radical secret at the heart of the writings of the Arizal, and the Leshem is Masbir this, and the Rashash is Masbir this, and the Balasulam is Masbir this. How it could be that Malchus to Ein Sof expresses itself in the Malchus to Atzilus, which is the edge of the infinite space in which limit and the infinite kind of continue to exist simultaneously, because the Kalim of Atzilus, which is the Malchus of Atzilus, is the secret of Leis Lemagar Meklum, and it's the secret of Ihu v'chivihu v'garmaihu chad b'hoin, as the Alter Rebbe describes in Igeres Chaf. And then it breaks the barrier of Atzilus and Bia, and it goes down, and the Malchus of Atzilus goes down each and every night into the Gullus Hashchina, in the secret of the worlds of separation, and it allows for there to fundamental create unity between the beginning and the end, which is the purpose of all things. And at that point, we come to find that Malchus is fulfilled and subsumed with all of the various expressions and the partsufim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has revealed. And this is the secret of Yakavu Hamayim Mitachas Hashamayim El Makom Echad. The Yakavu Hamayim is the secret of the entire Seder Hashtalshlus, and all of them are gathering together into Makom Echad, which is the secret of Malchus. That everything from Malchus to Malchus is all contained within Malchus. All that's ever taking place is the relationship between Malchus and Malchus. Everything else is the preparation for that Yichud to take place and the necessity of those preparatory skills. But the goal is ultimately to bring Malchus back up to the original shape of Malchus, which is the Malchus Agnuza B'Radla, which is the Hitznitzitz of the Malchus the Ein Sof Kavyachol. This is the secret of the Makom Echad, which is the Malchus, which is David Malka Mashiach, which has nothing and everything. It's a secret of above goes down, and what was down goes up. The secret of Olam Hafuch Ra'isi. It turns out that Malchus contains within herself the entirety of existence, and that if we're talking, then we're talking in Malchus. If we're experiencing in Malchus. Says the Ramchal. And if you knew this secret, if you knew the secret of the work of it all, the Yagia of it all, and you understood that everything was about the tikkun of Malchus, Tavin kol zeh le'oshro. You'll come to understand all of this. Rabbeinu said that there will come a time where all that we'll be talking about is Emunah, and that people perceive Emunah and Malchus as lowest, but in truth it's the highest. It's the Evan Masu Abanam Haisel Rosh Pina. And if you truly understand the secret of Avodah well, you'll come to understand how everything is the secret of the tikkun of Malchus. You'll properly understand all of this. The Ramchal says, I cannot spend too much time describing this. And because this stone, which is going to be the stone of the slingshot, this Evan Masu Abanim, this Malchus contains everything within herself. Malchus is mushlam. Malchus has everything she needs. It's not revealed, but Malchus has everything that she needs. Malchus has it all. The be'emes even. And it's not just a ben. It's not the broken world of the ben, which is the broken shards of malchus that fell down and became the vectors of concealment in this world, which is what the appearance of malchus tends to do when it's devoid of its rootedness in its original source, which is the malchus Ein Sof Kavyafel. But in secret, hiding in that ben is the secret of the aleph, which transforms that ban into an evan. And that secret aleph, that alufa shel olam that is always hiding there, is the recognition that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always revealed. Everything is always saturated and filled. What we have to do is reveal that which is hidden. Because he be'emes evan, it's not just a ben, in truth it's an evan. Besod shem ben. It's the secret of the shem ben, which is the broken expression externally of malchus, but in truth it represents the stone of the kirta. It's the aleph, the aleph mitchaber bo besod havaya deza. This aleph, which represents the vav yud yud of the cherev, which is the secret of the havaya deza, which is the shema, the hainu yud vav yud, and that yud vav yud, that even is going to be the gematria of the gan. The gan is the malchus being revealed. That's the Gan Eden. It's the Gan Eden Mikedem. It's where it's going to be revealed that all of the tzimtzum is still taking place within Gan Eden. The Gan Eden Kikedem, that a person wants to go back to Eden Kikedem, as it was beforehand. Because the secret of returning back to Eden Stima and coming to see that we've never actually left is the secret of revealing how the Tzimtzum ultimately was just revelatory of itself. And that's why Kikedem is Rosh Tevos Kahadin Kamsa de Levushim in Eubei. Kikedem is the secret of returning back to the beginning, which we've never actually left, because we're still inside of Gan Eden. It's just now that we're bringing all of the foreign territories into Gan Eden to reveal that the entire Welt is Gan Eden. And Ba'asi Lagani, in that place, we're mahapich the Evan into a gan. So the Ben was the broken pieces of Malchus that coalesce into real towers of concealment, as each and every person knows the process of how concealment takes shapes. It slowly builds upon itself until it's a metropolis. And our job is to reveal only through the amuna of the Evan Masu Abana Maislo Roshpina, the Malchus, the Ein Sof that's rooted in the loftiest places, and it goes down to the lowest place imaginable in the Seder of Shtalshlus and Malchus, which Ramchal says is the fundamental secret of this Chachma. That if a person knows this avodah of Malchus, then they'll come to understand everything. Again, I know I could read the words. I don't know the secret ha'avodah be'emes. That's what the tzaddikim have. But the soid ha'avodah be'emes is ultimately all about tikkun malchus. And we'll come to understand everything. And then Even, that hidden fullness that rests within the concealment of the Sitra Achra itself, to come to reveal that the Sitra Achra itself and the Krach Gadol Shabaromi is the very place that's going to be Nesapich into the Shai Yerushalayim, and it's going to be from the Tzara itself that there's going to be Harchava, and it's from the difficulty itself that there's going to be a Heskalis of Nachamu Ami, which is Gematria of Yitzchak, which is the secret of Ke'ata Avinu, which is the secret of Kates Chai, how within the difficulty and the descent itself of Vayechi, a person going down into the Meitzar Hayam, into Mitzrayim, it's specifically there that it's going to be the Ufaratz, the Yam of Akedmat, Safon of Anegva, and all of the Giluyim are going to come from that place of the Mitzarim themselves, which is the site of the Gan and the secret of the 53 Gan Sidarim Da'iraisa. And then when the Evan is prepared and the stone is prepared from all of the parshios and all of the places in the Torah that we've been to and the secret of Gan Eden in our lives, we can then throw the stone up to concealment. Then we can face the Samach Mem Harasha. And then we can hit it in its head, and there's not going to be any ability for it to get up anymore. It's not going to get up anymore. When we understand and rectify the Kli of Ani Rishon va'ani Achron, that the Ani of the individual, the Malchus of the individual, the lowest part of the individual is nothing but the Merkava for the Ani Ha'elyon in the secret of Ani Hashem Elekechem Emes, that the individual is Mavatal themselves and Shluach Shal Adam Kamoso, we become a Shliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then the Malchus of our experiences become a vehicle through which the Malchus of or Ein Sof Kaviyachol can be Megala itself. And that's the secret of the Tekuma, which will completely destroy concealment. When we take the Shem Havaya of Zah, of Kutcha B'richu, and we attach it to Malchus, we trust the self, and we trust the Hargasha, and we trust the feeling. As long as it's refined and as long as it's clarified, we trust that self. Sha'ashchina nikras kach, the Shechina is referred to as Ani, ba'asoisa ha'ma'aseh hazeh. When Malchus goes from all the way up, to down below, and then from down below, all the way up, it takes on the name Ani. Ani Rishon va'ani Achron, and that's the secret of Ayin, Ani, and Ani Ayin. That the Malchus is the Kesser, and the Kesser is the Malchus. Malchus goes all the way up. But when it conceals itself down here, it takes shape in the form of Yeshus and Ani. And the secret of the Shechina down here in the Dir B'Tachtonim, beside Ani Rishon va'ani Achron, v'hu Ayin. That's the secret of Ani Rishon Malchus Dein Sof Kaviyachol Ba'ani Achron, which is the Malchus of Tachtas Ha'asiyah, the Asiyah that's carried into the Klipas Noiga in the worlds of Biyah, and then it's elevated back up, and it's revealing itself as Ayin. And we're going to see more about this inside. Vine HaMigdal Shahaya Banui Ne'emar Boy Avir Migdal Meshacheach. With regards to the Migdal of the Sitra Achra, that Magdalia, which is the coalescence of all concealment to the degree that begins to appear as something real, which is what a Malik represents, the congealment of symptoms together around something that appears to be actual and fundamental in its existence, when in spite of the fact that ultimately it's Yispardu Kopalei Oven and there's no Aleph at the core of it. Therefore, when we scatter it, what's revealed is to be pure scattering, and it's scattering to the degree that nothing remains, because there's no Aleph B'Pinim Yuso, as opposed to the Ben de Kedusha, which has the Aleph B'Pinim Yuso. And so this Migdal Bavel, this place of the gathering together, the coalescence of all forms of concealment, which is reflected in the secret of Malchus, which is the gathering together of all forms of Kedusha. So that negative palace is the palace that causes forgetfulness, the palace of the no good one. That it causes a person to forget about the Torah and for the Torah to be concealed, where a person can no longer even gain access to what they thought they knew, when a person doesn't have any confidence or faith in what they thought they knew. And the kirta, the slingshot, has the ability to take this Evan and to knock down the entire palace of concealment and to reveal all of the lights that have always been there. And the depth of secrets are revealed specifically through this slingshot, because it's only this secret of Malchus which has the capacity of revealing the depths of secrets. Malchus of Gnuza Bradla. And this is how a person is meant to use the slingshot. And these are the 5 stones that David Malka Mashiach went down to the Nachal to receive in order to fight the Plishti, as Rabbi Nassan and Rabbi Nachman described. These 5 avanim, which are the 5 osios of Kriyat Shema, that he fought him with Amuna. These 5 stones represent the 5 names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu as follows: Yud Vav Daled, Hey Hey, Vav Aleph Vav, Hey Hey. That's going to be a name that's not part of the Arba Shemos of Absag Ma Ben, but it's a unity of those Arba Shemos, each part offering a different part, which expresses itself as a 5th name, Kavyachol, which is Yud Hey Vav Hey. Yud Vav Dalid is shared by Absag Ma Ben. Hey Hey is going to be associated with the shame of Ban. The Vav Aleph Vav is found both in Sag and Ma, and the Hey Hey is found in Ben. And all of those names, those 4 names, which create this 5th name, which is the gematria of Gan. It's the permutation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name, which spells out Gan, which is the hidden secret that rests within the Even, which was at first glance the destroyed Ben, but now we have the ability of coalescing all of our strengths back together to reveal that the treasure has always been exactly where we thought it was, right underneath our feet. And with these names, Nukva is Hey Partsufim, and therefore it's going to be this name which is going to take shape in 5 ways. So it's going to be 5 Avanim, which are the gematria of Gan, which is this Shem Havaya, which is a coalescence of all of the Shemos that came before it, which is going to be the 5 stones. Kulam B'Soid Gevura Neged Sitra Achra. These are the stones. When a person contemplates this name of Yud Vav Dalid, Hey Hey, Vav Aleph Vav, Hey Hey, what we're doing is we're utilizing our slingshot to push back against the migdal of concealment in my life and to shatter it and to allow the light to illuminate from wherever it is that I'm standing in this moment. Because all are contained within her and all are contained with one another as the result of her connectivity. And with this strength of the connection that we understand that what I need is right here, right now, it just is hidden, but I have to reveal the Aleph and the Alufa Shal Olam that is there, and immediately, as part of the Kopalayavan in the secret of Amar Oyev Edof Asika Chalek Shalal, those 5 Alfim that the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh refers to as the deepest revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light, they correspond to the 5 Avanim that give birth to this battle of David Malka Mashiach with Emunah against Goliath and against Amalek, v'chule v'chule. And then all of these five stones gather together to create one stone. And with this strength, the stone goes all the way, all the way, all the way up to places far beyond the capacity that we would ever have to send it. It takes shape. There's a Mesiras Nefesh. The secret of faith goes all the way, all the way, all the way up to levels that any other tzaddik has the ability to reach or not reach. Each person has the ability to reach the highest, loftiest places through Mesiras Nefesh for Emunah. What the Rebbe has described is the fundamental nakuda that remains with us in exile is the Malchus of Keser of Malchus. We know that in Malchus, when the parts of the Malchus comes out, all that it remains, or all that is there to begin with, is one nakuda, and that nakuda is the Keser of Malchus. But when you look at the Ari, it's also really just the Malchus of the Keser of Malchus. Malchus is Emunah, Keser is Mesiras Nefesh. So what remains for us is the Malchus, the Keser, the Malchus, which means that it's the Emunah that I have in my ability to be Moser Nefesh for Emunah. In that place, the Emunah kolzos, when a person has that Emunah, that's the Evan Achas. Kikulam Niksharm Bav and Niksharm Zebazeh. That's the Omid Achas of tzaddik b'emunaso yichya. V'az b'koyach zeh zorka moisei ad ein sof ein tachlis. And it'll kasher kol protus am oiris lamala lamata ad ein sof yisparach shemo, which means to contain all of the particularization that emerges through the principles of hishtalshelus as malchus to ein sof is yored down in all of the particular stations in which she descends. And the Shechina is b'chol makom. All of those places referred to as pratim, which conceal the light of the klal. The avoid of malchus is the klal, prat, and klal. There's a klal, and then there's the prat, which is the descent of malchus down into individualization and all of the proliferation of details and layers of concealment. And then there's the return back to the klal, which is going to be magdil the klal in a way that it was not revealed even prior to the descent of malchus. And the secret of the toisefes kishut. The words are mamish, mamish, mamish. This is a perfect text. Every word is written Ruach HaKodesh. Every word is written Ruach HaKodesh. These five stones represent the yichud of Shema Yisrael, the radical affirmation of yichud ilah, which is ultimately just being mamshich moichin down to malchus. It's testifying, it's faith, it's amunah, it's the secret of bina that's mashpia down to malchus. That's the highest point. Shema Yisrael, those chamisha avanim. These five stones are the yichud of Shema Yisrael. Kihei tevos hem hahe avanim. Because these five stones, and Rabbi Nosson says this as well, these five stones that David HaMelech fought the Plishti with, the five stones of Emunah, the five Alfin that are revealed in Shema Yisrael, and by the word Echad, we know that there's the large Dalid. The large Dalid of Echad is the unity of Ach Dalid. Ach is the first 9 spheros, which are Keser down to Yisoid, or Chesed down to Yisoid, and the Dalid is the Leis Lemagam Meklum. Dalus Va'aniya is David Malka Mashiach. That's the secret of Malchus itself. What we're doing when we're Miyached, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, we're revealing that there's a unity between the Yichud Ilah and the radical affirmation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence from above, even prior to its diminution into a vessel in a real way. But hidden within that already is the preparatory stage for revelation, which is contained within the word Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus it really represents Yichud Tata, the full manifestation of Malchus. But ultimately, that Malchus of Yichud Tata is hinged and dependent in and contained within the lowest part of the higher level, which is the Dalit of Echad. And in that Dalit of Echad, we're machavin to the fact that the Yichud here is taking place between unity and all of the particularization that is going to take place afterwards, as well, representing the descent into the worlds of separation, Atzilus, Bri, Yitzir, and Asiya, that fourness, the four-sided nature of all things, that scatteredness of the four, the tough men of Esav, the tough men of Esav with 400, all of those things represent concealment. But that Dalid is attached to Echad, and that's the Yichud of all of the Pratim within the Yichud itself. So now to look at the words of the Ramchal. These five stones of Malchus going all the way, all the way, all the way back up, of uncovering everything that I need exactly where I am without even movement. Those five words of Shema Yisrael are those 5 stones that David HaMelech retrieved from the Nachal. Ube'echad, and the word echad in the big Dalid, na'asim kulam achas b'sayda yichud. Everything is unified. The worlds above and the worlds below are attached to one another in the secret of the unity between above and below. Va'az oila ad ein soif ve'ein tachlis. And then that which was descending below within the Nachal ascend up into the infinite recesses that have no limit whatsoever. To or ein soif mamish. V'nei he pa'amim gan hu reish samachay. And we said that each even is going to be the gematria of gan, which is the Shem Havaya, that is a composition of all of the 4 shemos, giving way to a 5th shem to a certain degree. Laham shechla hey v'tzarch laham shechla hey gvuras me'ima v'heim hey chaluke avanim min anachal, and it's the hey shemos kazeh yud hey vav aleph vav and hey which is the gematria of gan. So it's going to be that gan times 5, which is 265, and that's the secret of the sohar. That's the secret of the imprisonment, and that imprisonment that needs to be taken down, that palace of concealment, that's the representation of Lamed Yud Taf, which is also the gematria of Sohar. When we're able to illuminate those 5 stones, which is Gan times 5, which is 265, it breaks down the palace of concealment, which is also the gematria of 265, because that area of concealment that we're trying to break down is the Beis HaSohar. It's like the jail. Each and every neshama, when it encounters difficulty or when it feels that it can't break free and attach itself to that amuna that it needs, the amuna kolzos, that means that neshama is operating as if it's in jail. There's something blocking it. There's something blocking the light. And the secret of the basmelech and the princess who's concealed in the palace of the no good one, who's hidden in the jail cell in exile. And our job is to shatter down the walls and the gates of this prison so that the lights of the basmelech can be revealed again. The Tikkun Zohar says, the one who has the ability to destroy the nachash has the ability to merit the light of the Shekhinah. Va'az na'asis zeh ha'even haris, and then that stone that was the Beis HaSohar is destroyed, and it's the same gematria of Hey Reish Samech, which is the same osios of Samech Hey Reish, which is Gan times 5. The Hayresas Binyana de Setrachra, and it absolutely destroys the palaces of concealment. Shu ha'even matzur mitzad ben, which are all of the broken pieces and the fallen vessels of the Shivrei Kalim. With Emunah, a person is matakin all of them. Vihi matzur besod hatzara, and they're broken down in the nature of destruction. In the time of concealment, in the time of difficulty, this ability to collect our faith in the secret that all of the pratim maintain an inherent bond and connection to the infinite unified whole from whence they come, that has the ability of ascending all the way up to destroy all of the concealment that was blocking a person. And this is why the language of the Yanuka is, when he was talking about destruction of the other side, using his kirta, he uses the language of harsena. The Ramchal is pointing out that it's mufurish within the Raya Mehemna itself. All of these are Muslim. Dayik leimar hasena. It's specifically that word of destruction in the secret of Hey Reish Samech, which is destroying the Beis HaSohar, which is the gematria of Lamed Yud Taf, as a result of the 5 stones, which is 5 times 53, which is also 265. The Harsana Binyana delay, and it's a destruction of that concealment, which is Memela, the emergence of the palace of revelation. And it's exactly what the pasuk says, Hema Yevanu, they will build Va'ani Aharos. Specifically, Ani, says the Ramchal, Ani Rishon Va'ani Achron. Malchus is the thing that's going to destroy. The stone of the slingshot, the 5 words of Shema Yisrael. Keep aside Ani, it's going to be the secret of Ani, of Malchus, that is Yorid ad Tachtis and Oile ad Tachlis. That's the Ani that's going to create the destruction, the secret of the 5 stones that destroy concealment. And it destroys that place of concealment, it destroys it entirely. Vihine kirta nikros kach. Why is a slingshot referred to as a slingshot? Because he oile gematria shach, because it's the gematria of 320, which is the secret of Hey Pa'amim Din. 5 times din is shach dinim. Shach dinim and par dinim are 2 different forms of concealment, and rapach are 3 different forms of concealment that are scattered throughout our consciousness and our experience in this world. But the kirta, which is breaking down those 5 layers of concealment, which is the 5 times din, that lowest level, the hay, which contains the hay gvuras within itself, those shachdinim. So then we have to take from the avanim, we have to take the sort of chaluke avanim, who said ribuya deben, she'oila kedem, kiminin chaluk. Ramchal is saying something incredible here. Kirta, the slingshot, is the gematria of 320, corresponding to the 5 times din, which were the 5 layers of concealment, which were the 5 partsupim of malchus, which are the 5 stones and the 5 words of Kriyat Shema. And they're coming to destroy the dinim, which is the shach dinim, and this is the secret of the chalukei avanim. So why does the pasuk say there was a chalukei avanim? Why did it have to use the language of chaluk, the separating and the different types of stones? Because ultimately that's the secret of the ribuya of ben. That ribuya is when you spell a shame out b'derech achorayim, by way of incremental growth. So it's aleph beis gimel, aleph beis gimel daled. And so when you spell out the shem havaya of ben, in that way, what you come to is the gematria of kedem, which is 144, which is the gematria of chaluk, which means that act of separation, because that's what we're drawing from, the breakdown of malchus at its lowest point, b'derech acharayim, which is going to bring us back to that place of Gan Eden kikedem itself. That's the gematria of chaluk. V'nehei pa'amim kedem hu katash. And if I take 5 times that kedem, which is the ribuya of ben, which is the lowest place, the shir meruba mamish, this worldliness itself, the place of concealment of achein ata kil mistater, when you take 5 times kedem, it becomes a gematria katash katishin, grinding down concealment, katash katishin, in the secret of im tichtoish es ha'evel b'machtish, of destroying that concealment with a machtish. Besides zeh machtish ne'emar ha'even azos v'hadakas hamun. Okay, Ezras Hashem. In the next year, we're going to finish up the second parak. We're going to move on. We're going to finish up the second parak in Mitzvah Hashem. It'll be a longer shir, and then we'll move on to the next shlav. All of the gematrias here are fundamental in the way that we're teaching it, but they're also part of the yichud agan that the Ramchal is going to describe to us and has been describing to us as to how to contemplate this b'derech yichud. And at the end of this sefer, it's written as well, and it's published, as we said, from a Talmud of the Rebbe Shlita in his base medrash, a fully explicated one, as well as in Shari Yerushalayim. But the reason that we're not going into the orientation and the shaping of all of the different kavanos is because I have no idea how to. And so what we're doing is we're reading the words. But again, if anybody would like to see, I'm more than happy to share the source, Be'ezras Hashem.